What's up, guys? Coach Vass here. Thank you for joining me with OTF Audio Daily Beats. As always, if you're new, appreciate you tuning in, listening to me talk about these workouts. We're going to dive into Sunday, July 13th. This workout does not repeat, which is unfortunate because looking at it, I really like it. And I would love to be able to do it again a second time in the month. As always, we'll talk about the 2G, talk about the 3G, and then get you on out of here. We're going to see endurance on the treadmills, power on the rower, strength on the weight floor, and this is a true run row format. So super excited. Anyways, key concepts. We're gonna see today's run row is a 0.6 mile challenge. You have 3 parts. Each part equals 0.6 miles on the tread plus a 200-meter row. You have 3 goals to aim for today. Check your tread card when you get to the tread for your warm-up, okay? On the floor, 3 blocks. Each block has 2 exercises to maximize your lift-in today. So for the people who want a lot of lift-in, great. People who love the breaking up and moving at your own pace on the treads and on the rowers, even better. So looking at the, as far as the setup, as always on a run row like this, if you do have 2 groups, whatever group starts on the rower, have the courtesy to give them wipes to begin with, so that way, as soon as they're done at the warm-up, wipe down the rower. That way the tread group, when they come to the rower, their machine is clean. On the treads, 23.5 minutes. We have 2 parts to this. So part 1 incorporates the treadmill, and then a row, and then they're done, okay? The second part is the goal. There are 3 different goals within the block. The green goal is, can they complete at least part 1 and part 2? The orange goal, could they complete all 3 parts? And then the red goal is, can they make it to the bonus and probably get through a round or so or more, okay? We're gonna start off with a 0.6 mile tread. Power walkers 0.3, 1% or greater. Bikes and striders obviously have their distances that they're gonna complete. When they're done, they go to the row, 200-meter all-out row. And then they recover until they're ready. How they recover, it's also up to them. They could catch their breath on the rower, they could go back up to the treadmills and walk, and then when they're ready, clear out their screen and start their next part. Now part 2, 0.3 mile tread, walk recovery until ready, and then do it a second time. So 0.3, walk, 0.3. Then they're gonna go to the rower, hit that 200-meter all-out row. Could they match, could they beat their time, their average watts, make sure effort stays the same, and then they recover. Part 3, 0.2 mile tread, walk recovery until they're ready, 3 times. So the actual work is still 0.6 miles. They'll hit that 200-meter row, recover, and then they go to the bonus. For the bonus, 0.1 mile tread, 200-meter all-out row, and they're gonna repeat that until the finish. And then when it comes to the finisher, it's their choice of either a 30-second all-out on the treadmill or on the rower. Now, a little bit more deep dive into way to set this up, as well as some strategies, because members choose how they approach a run row like this, especially when it's just a set distance at a tread effort where they choose the intensity. Being consistent is great. So one way it could be for people just to hold their base or hold one speed, right? So someone who's a little bit more conservative, they just want to move today on the treadmill, hold your base, use that to work on your endurance, your cardiovascular endurance, and try to stay in the green, okay? The rower is going to spike up that heart rate, 200 meters, come back to the treads, and then that also means their walk recoveries between, like in part 2 and part 3, those walk recoveries are probably going to be shorter since they're just trusting their base. Now, the other way to approach it is, hey, can we be aggressive, right? Could we hold like a conservative to an aggressive push in part 1, and can we maintain that or increase it even more every round, okay? And there's also like a little bit of in between. So maybe they start with a 0.6 mile base for part 1, part 2, maybe closer to a base push or push, and then part 3, push to maybe a push all out, okay? And then on the bonus, because it's a 0.1 mile tread, if they've been increasing throughout, maybe that 0.1 is a push all out or an all out, all right? So this is something to have a conversation with the members prior, if possible, or if you have that opportunity to educate people off mic with what their goals are, this would be a great opportunity to do so. Now, when we look on the weight floor side, we're gonna see 3 blocks, 6 minutes and 45 seconds, 90-second recovery between each one. But you only have to demo 2 movements, which is great. This also means members have opportunity to truly lift heavy. With 6 minutes and 45 seconds, we're gonna see upper body push-pull in block 1, and then lower body squat and hinge. And then in block 3, we're gonna see some accessory work for the arms. So overall, pretty solid format. We're gonna see on the floor, closed grip chest press, followed by a reverse grip low row on block 1, okay? 6 to 10 reps, as always, with a rep range. One thing the Grove says is let the members do the reps that feel right for them today, based off of their goals. They could also use that rep range as a way to set themselves up for success. So if they could do 10 reps, no problem, and they could probably do a couple more, can we go heavier and hit that same number of reps? Could we slow it down, hit that same number of reps, et cetera, okay? Obviously at the higher rep count, more of a moderate weight. If they aim for 6 to 7, heavier weight. Hi, Blaze. All right, and then of course with that reverse grip low row, if people have problems with their lower back in that position or with those really heavy dumbbells, it's really awkward. If lower back issues, go onto the strap for that reverse grip low row. And if it's just awkward with massive dumbbells like the 35 plus, they could do it like a split stance and do a single arm reverse grip low row, make it more comfortable. Of course, that's just gonna double the time it's required to complete since they have to do the left arm, then do the right arm, okay? The next part, we're gonna see an alternating reverse lunge to a goblet squat. So they'll step out to one side, step out to the other side, and then squat. That's 6 to 10 reps. Most people could squat way more than they could lateral lunge, so definitely pick a weight based off of that lateral lunge, okay? If you have people who are, they're kind of cautious, or excuse me, not lateral lunge, reverse lunge, but still, same idea applies. People could typically squat heavier than what they could reverse lunge. Now, if someone is unable to reverse lunge, if you have benches out, they could do an alternated step up, and then when both feet are on the ground, do a squat there. That way they're still getting that unilateral work, rather than just doubling the squats. And then they're gonna pair that up with the wide stance bridge. Once again, wider stance is gonna recruit more of the lateral glute, emphasize, squeezing the backside of the hips rather than pressing up from the lower back. Also drive the heels down, not only into the ground, but also think about scraping the heels towards them to get the hamstrings to contract. And they'll have 6 minutes and 45 seconds for those 2 movements. Then the third block, we're gonna see balanced overhead tricep extensions. Because they're standing on one foot, probably go with a lighter weight. And I've said this before in past videos, when doing the tricep extension, it is better to go on the lighter side versus the heavier side, just to minimize any overuse strain on the tricep tendon, okay? So if they drop down and they only get about halfway, that is gonna put a lot of stress on that tendon. They're gonna feel that on the elbow. So if they can't get here, let's go lighter, really get more than 90-degree angle bend. So I use the reference of have the dumbbell touch between the shoulder blades, okay? Of course, if they're not able to go overhead, a great opportunity for this one is they could go onto the strap for a tricep extension that way. They could do, on the floor and do skull crusher, tricep extension style that way. Sky's the limit as long as it's within the fitness library. And then that's gonna be paired up with dumbbell hammer curls. Nothing fancy there, no balance work, just both feet on the floor. And then their finisher will be a high plank alternating crossbody knee drive. Exciting. All right, so looking at the 3G, treadmills, rowers, weight floor, 14.5 minutes each, one big block for each group. When you look at the template, it is read top down, left to right. So the treadmills, straight down. Next block is for the rowers, and then the weight floor. Treadmills are set up similar to the 2G, except for the walk recoveries between the parts are timed. So they'll start with a 0.6 mile tread, take a 30-second walk recovery. And then part 2, 0.3 tread, walk recovery until ready for 2 rounds. 30-second walk, and then move to part 3. And then part 3 is the 0.2, walk recovery until they're ready for 3 rounds. And then after that 3rd round, the bonus is the tread until the time for finisher. And the finisher is a 30-second all out. So same thought process applies here. They could be consistent, hold the same speed no matter what. They could increase the intensities in every part. They could increase the intensities on every repeat round on parts 2 and 3. Start at base, start something above that, what have you. All right, now for the rowers, we're gonna see one long block as well, and the goal is to increase average watts each round. So in round 1, it's gonna be a 1 minute all out row, followed by in and out hops. And then round 2 is a 45-second all out row with the same movement, and then round 3 is a 30-second all out row with the in and out hops. The goal here is to increase the average watts. So we do need to use the stored programs, do their movements. When they sit back down on the rower, hopefully it stopped. Then they could go to stored programs, 45 seconds, look at the bottom, there's their average watts, and then use that during that all-out row to keep their instant watts, their current number, slightly at or higher the average, and that will increase it throughout. Once they finish those 3 rounds, they're gonna repeat that process with 8 reps of the foot exchange in place of the in and out hop, and then part 3, you'll combine the movements. So you'll do 2 in and outs, and then 4 foot exchanges. That makes 1. They'll do that 4 times for part 3. It is a little complicated, so be smart about how you write that on a whiteboard so that they're not confused. And then finally, the weight floor. This is actually all 3 blocks from the 2G in 1 massive block. So 2 rounds of the closed grip chest press and the reverse grip low row, 2 rounds of the reverse lunge and goblet squat with the wide stance bridge, 2 rounds of the tricep extension and hammer curl, okay? Once they finish 2 rounds of everything, they'll do them all as 1 big block. Emphasize and encourage rest and recovery after each movement because that is the goal. Lift heavy, work, and rest. And there you go. It's Sunday, July 13th. Once again, this does not repeat, which is a shame because this looks like a solid workout. I'm excited to take it. Hope you guys can make it in as well. Other than that, coach it down.